Take a roll call. Ms. Pastana?
Ms. Grzymkowski. Here. Mr. Wiseman.
Here.
Ms. Forrest.
Here.
Ms. Dodd.
Here.
I am here. Ms. Cotter.
Here.
And Mr. Carlson.
Here.
All present and accounted for.
Thank you. Please rise if you can for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. I'll now look for approval of the agenda, but before we do that, just a couple of minor items. I'm going to recommend we take item 2A, items from the board president, and move that to after association comments and before board correspondence from the secretary. And then also, I understand, Ms. Pastana, we have an item that's new business tonight, but we've got some purpose to take a vote tonight. Is that correct?
Correct. It's item 6D, the computer purchase. We'd like to see if the board would approve that purchase tonight.
Okay. Given the supply chain issues in regards to computers, we'll look to vote on that Exhibit G this evening.
Mr. Carlson,
Yes.
also about tonight's agenda, while I'm not going to suggest any changes, just a notification for the board. In our board packet, when you were reviewing our minutes from the last meeting, it was signed by wasn't signed yet. It was typed Mrs. Pastana. The one we're voting on tonight for our minutes has been officially corrected because I sat in as the board secretary for the last meeting.
Thank you for that clarification.
Sure.
And that will be under consent agenda item. Is that correct?
Correct. So the
Okay.
one you're approving has already been changed.
All right. Thank you. Are there any other changes? Seeing none, I'll look for a motion for approval of the agenda with the modifications that have been pointed out.
I will approve the agenda with the modifications.
All
And
right.
I will
Talked about.
support that.
Okay. A motion made by Ms. Forrest, supported by Ms. Cotter. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. The agenda is approved as modified. We'll now move to recognitions. I'll turn this over to Superintendent Salah.
Thank you, President Carlson. I will turn it over to Ms. Rothler.
Good evening, board, families, residents of Huron Valley Schools. As most of you know, we have so many students within the Huron Valley School District that just do so many wonderful things, both inside the classroom, in their extracurricular activities, and on their own time. So tonight we are taking a moment to be able to recognize a few of those. If I can get board member Denise Pastana to join me up here. There is a slide also with this. So we have that slide. We're going to start with our Huron Valley hero. She is a young lady by the name of Giselle Hisco. If you can join me tonight, Giselle, you can stand right up here. Giselle just started 6th grade at Oak Valley Middle School. Giselle went to Kurtz Elementary School last year. She has made it a passion to help supply many of the homeless people in our area, working with Carriage Town Ministries. This is her 3rd year doing this. As you can see, in 2020, she collected 547 blankets. In 2021, she upped her game there with a 783. And this year, her goal is to reach her 1,000 blanket collected to be able to work with Carriage Town and help supply these blankets to many of the people in our area that are in need. She is ongoing. She just started a brand new blanket drive this weekend, and it's going to go for a few weeks. She'll have information on that. We'll post some of that on our social media pages too for anyone that wants to take part. So right now, I would like to give her special certificate to Denise that she can present to her. Come back here if you'd like, Giselle.
Come right All right, Giselle, I'm pleased to award you the Huron Valley Hero on this day from the superintendent as well as the board. We're proud of everything that you're doing, and let us know how we can help support you. Would you like to say something? What? Yeah, yes, it's Leslie.
Okay.
You want to say something?
Yeah.
Go.
So, board members, I now ask you to get on board with me in reaching my goal. Please help by donating. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, she probably wants a picture.
She's testing you.
We also have our Huron Valley highlights tonight. Tonight, we want to highlight our Huron Valley School robotics team. If I can ever remember Amy Zamkowski. While we do have a few of the students from the robotics team that are going to come up here and say a few things. But our Huron Valley School robotics team has not only many successes with their actual robotic, but they do so many things for our community. Every year since 2000, the HVS HOT team joined in on the Friends of Huron River cleanup. This year, as many of you know, they were not originally not able to do that because of the pollution with the chemical spill in the river. But they didn't take no for an answer. This team found some other creative ways to still be able to take part. So who were the students that were going to tell us a little bit about? Come on up.
Hello, members of the board. My name is Sierra Kammerer. I am a senior at the International Academy West here at Lakeland High School. And this is our robotics team, the HOT team, also known as the Heroes of Tomorrow. And we're just going to be giving you guys a little background on our team. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, so sorry. Go ahead. Okay, so as I said, my name is Sierra, and I'm going to be going over our team's history. The HOT team is one of the earliest members of the first community. We were started in 1997, way before I was alive, and we were started after first founder, Dean Kamen, asked General Motors in Milford to sponsor a team. Our team has gone on to win the Chairman's Award in 2005, 3 World Championships in 2005, 2009, and 2010, and 4 state championships in 2009, 2011, 2012, and 2016. As a team, we have won over 35 competitions and numerous awards as displayed at Lakeland and Milford in our trophy cases. Throughout our team's history, our team has been dedicated to inspiring students to innovate, problem solve, and go for the win. We all know our community has been severely impacted by COVID, and teaching students about STEM is at the forefront of all of our minds. By teaching students about STEM at all levels of education, whether it be middle school, elementary school, or even high school, we are showing them real-world applications of what they are learning in school and how to translate them into a future. The HOT team is allowing students to learn important skills such as machining, programming, designing, and building robots, along with other important skills in leadership, collaboration, assembly, and electrical. From all of these, over my past 7 years in robotics, I have learned one important thing: confidence. Without the confidence I have learned from robotics, I would not be standing up here in front of all of you guys. All of these lessons have inspired me to pursue engineering in college. Last year, our HOT team members have come from all 4 of the Huron Valley High Schools: Milford, Lakeland, the International Academy West, and the Huron Valley Virtual Academy. Our Huron Valley community has been a staunch supporter of our team since its founding in 1997, and last year we had an astounding turnout of members in our community continual coming to support our team.
My name is Sebastian Nagara. I am currently a senior attending OSTC. I would like to talk to you about some of the accomplishments that the HOT team has had this year. So this season, or I guess last season, we attended 4 major events in Milford, Troy, the state championships and the world championships. At Milford, we ended up finishing first overall in the qualifying rounds and in the top 4 overall for the playoff bracket. At Troy, we ended up finishing second in the qualifying rounds and won the event in the playoff bracket. At States, we finished second again in the qualifying rounds and in the top 8 in the playoff bracket. And at the World Championships, we finished 9th in the qualifying rounds and second overall in our division.
Hi, my name is Colin. I'm a sophomore at International Academy. So outside of the playing field, we've also done a lot for the community, as has been mentioned earlier. So the first big thing we did this summer was we had a programming Arduino camp. So 8 of our students taught younger people from the community how to program Arduino boards. They got to learn like RGB values and a lot of stuff that goes into making a robot for a robotics team. And hopefully they'll be joining the team soon. They're really promising. So moving on into August at Milford Memories, we set up our annual booth where we got to present to our extremely awesome community how to use robots. And we got to do demonstrations for our high school level robot, our middle school level robot, and some Lego robots for the younger people. And we also showed the kids how to make buttons and Legos, and it was a lot of fun. And then last, we also had our Huron River cleanup, which is the students' favorite event. And yeah, despite the pollution, we still got out there and helped clean up the river, and it was a lot of fun, great day. So yeah, and moving into the fall, we're gonna be doing a lot of mentoring for the middle school teams. And besides that, lots of road cleanups and different ways to give back to the community who's been so incredibly helpful to our team.
Well, if that is not the persona of what HVS students are all about, let's give them another round of applause. Incredible. Now we have board member Amy that has a little certificate to present to your team.
Okay, you got to pick who's going to come get the certificate. Somebody's got to represent. Okay, so on behalf of Dr. Salah and the Board of Education, we want to present this Huron Valley Highlights Award to the Hot Robotics team. Ms. Cotter and I were fortunate enough to come to your awards banquet at the end of the year, and it was beyond impressive. So for all that you all do within the community, for the wonderful way that you work together and integrate education and real world hands-on experience, you absolutely represent Huron Valley. So hashtag HVS proud. Here we go. Thank you, Hot Robotics team.
Thank you. That concludes it, but we are always open to any ideas from not only our staff, but also the community. If you have any HVS heroes or highlights, please be sure to send them our way. Thank you.
Board.
Yes, join me. Yes, board join me. Perfect.
Doesn't push very well.
Thank you so much.
Okay. We'll now move to school presentations, but there are none this evening. I'm sure we'll have at least one at the next board meeting in October. And we'll move to item 2D, superintendent communication.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, the buildings were, somewhat consumed with that thing called the first day of school. So nobody was eager to do a school presentation for this first meeting, but a couple thoughts here, and then I have some informal, and then I have some formal items. First and foremost, I just want to congratulate all of our students and our staff on making the first week of school just a remarkable success. It felt so good to come back to really what felt like a really normal school year, and it's been phenomenal from the very first day when our buses pulled out of the bus garage at 4:45 in the morning, getting ready to pick up kiddos, and from that moment on, it's been nothing but success and really positive news. And so, just congratulations to the entire staff. Special shout out to our entire maintenance and operations team that worked well into the weekend over a Labor Day holiday, getting our buildings ready that were under construction, and to our principals of those buildings that are under construction, our staff who were setting up classrooms into the wee hours of the night, believe it or not, even on the holiday itself. They're just an awesome group of people, and we're very fortunate to have them here in the Huron Valley schools. Last year, we had the privilege as a school district to recognize 3 outstanding educators. Angela Eckerly at Lakeland High School teaches mathematics. Carrie Leach at Muir Middle School teaches mathematics, and then Mallory, she just got a name change. So she was Geniac, as if that wasn't difficult enough to say. Now it's Kiesa. Kiesa, she was recently married. So we also had a chance to honor Mallory last year. And typically, what our tradition here is in the Valley is on the opening day of school. LaFontaine has sponsored some acknowledgments and recognitions for those teachers of the year. And what they do is they pick from a hat three items. One, $1,000 for classroom supplies, a $2,000 scholarship for classroom supplies, and or a 2-year totally free of charge lease for the teacher that wins sort of the big prize. Unfortunately, this year we had a power outage at 4:20 in the morning at Lakeland. And how do I know it was 4:20 in the morning? Because that's when my phone rang. It was 4:20 in the morning, and we had to make the call, unfortunately, to cancel our opening day festivities. And we got creative. We did some things virtually. But, we knew that this was just one of those traditions that we couldn't lose. So LaFontaine has been working with us over the last couple of weeks. We were finally able to arrive at sort of the last minute, right, Barb, on a date and time, which was this afternoon. And we pulled that together in just a few hours today because that was what worked for LaFontaine. So we rallied a road crew, and Barb and I, along with some of the members of the LaFontaine family, came together, and we had a chance to go to all 3 schools and formally present them with the big check or the vehicle. So I can't wait for you all to see the reveal video that is being put together, but just really awesome to be able to recognize and honor our staff. They're just such a tremendous group of people. We're very fortunate in Huron Valley Schools. We have a great team of teachers. And so this is just one way that we show that appreciation. So more to come on that. And again, congratulations to Ms. Eckerly, Ms. Leach, and Ms. Chiesa as well. So also this evening, and this one just came to me as well. So the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences actually puts out an award for individuals who have exhibited excellence in the television and digital media space. And so this is sort of a new one, and Barb doesn't know I'm doing this, and that's why she's shaking her head. I just learned this afternoon that she was nominated as one of the potential recipients of this really prestigious award. This is something that they've done for 25 years, and it just goes to show the high quality people that we have in Huron Valley. Barb, we're glad that you're a part of our team here, and congratulations on your accomplishment. I know while you don't work in television anymore, you've had a very distinguished career. We're very happy for you. So now on to my formal items. I have the privilege this evening to introduce some folks that we have invited into the Huron Valley family and that they've accepted. So they're part of the team and they've already signed their contracts, and they're either here or going to be here very soon. So I'm going to start with Rachel Paradis. Rachel is one of the assistant directors of student support services that we recently hired. I had an opportunity to meet with Rachel in an interview, and I will tell you that she did an outstanding job. I asked her some really tough questions, and she didn't crack under the pressure. Rachel comes to us from the Grand Blanc schools, where she has been a school psychologist since 2008. She has a bachelor's degree from Hills College. She has a specialist in school psychology from the University of Detroit Mercy. She also has all of the requisite administrative certifications as well. And we're just really excited to invite Rachel to be part of our team, and I know that she's going to do an outstanding job. Let's give Rachel a round of applause. And Rachel, I'd like to invite you to the podium. That's good. I'm getting the look. Yeah, just wanted to invite you to the podium and, say a few words. Just how happy you are to be here.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm very happy to be here. We have hit the ground running, I think, to say the least. So I hope that we're very helpful to the department and to the district. And so far it's been great. Everybody has been awesome and really supportive and accepting. So hopefully we can, have a good year. So thank you.
You got this. Nice job. Thank you. Okay, and my second introduction this evening is Miss Deb Parkinson. Deb, you're going to be called up, so I expect, that you're just totally on your game. So Deb Parkinson, also Assistant Director of Student Support Services. If you recall, we were fortunate as a school district to see a pretty significant increase in some special ed resources and dollars. We recognized that this was an area that we needed some additional support, so we added an Assistant Director position. So Deb comes to us from the Wayne Westland Community Schools, where she has been a central office special education director since 2018. Prior to that, she was in the Walled Lake Schools as an ASD teacher from 2006 to 2018. Deb holds a bachelor's degree in psychology and communications from Eastern Michigan University, a master's in psychology and communications from the University of Phoenix. She holds all the requisite certifications. She's certified in learning disabled and autism spectrum disorder endorsements. She also has endorsement from Oakland University and all the credentials for special education supervisor, director. And so we're excited to welcome Deb to the team as well. Deb, we know you're going to be a tremendous addition to the team and to the family. And so I'd like to invite you to the podium to make some comments as well. Let's give it up for Deb.
Well, thank you. I don't have anything prepared either. I am very excited to be here. It's already been a pleasure working with Terry and Rachel. So I live in the Huron Valley School District. I'm very excited to be back here serving the community that I live in and support. So thank you.
Welcome, Deb. We're happy to have you here. So last but not least, Human Resources Supervisor, Stacy Sattler. Stacy, how are you? Good to see you. So Stacy will have a full PowerPoint for us with her comments and remarks. I mean, come on, you had 30 seconds. So Stacy brings over 10 years of human resources experience, including leadership roles at both the Dearborn Public Schools and most recently at Birmingham Public Schools. She has an HR specialist. She was an HR specialist for Birmingham. She was an HR office manager with the Dearborn Public Schools since 2019. She holds a bachelor's degree in business from Eastern Michigan University, also has an associate's from Henry Ford Community College. And we are just ecstatic to welcome Stacy to the team as well. That's going to make our HR department whole. And Stacy, we're really excited to have you. If you wouldn't mind, we'd love to invite you to the podium to say a few comments as well.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. I'm very excited to start on Monday. And that's about it.
Well, we know you're going to be fantastic. Welcome. So, Mr. President, that concludes my informal and formal remarks.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. I feel like I'm getting a little feedback on this. Fred, you'll let me know. All right. First of all, I want to congratulate the superintendent and the administration on the first day of school and welcoming the kids back. I know our board had an opportunity to get out to all the schools, elementary, middle, and high schools, and to see the smiling faces and in some cases worried faces. But the smiling faces were the teachers. Oh, yes. Am I jumping in? I'm jumping in. So I'm going to turn it over to student leaders, but I wanted to say that first, and my other comments I will hold. So thank you. And with that, we've got student leadership, and I think we've got some student leaders here tonight, correct? So I'd invite you up to the podium.
Come on up. I'll just a few comments. So come on up to Maya and Everett and Alexis. And as they're coming up to the podium, so student voice is a valuable component of governance in Huron Valley Schools. And in order to ensure a systemic approach, we've included our senior class presidents as part of the Teaching, Learning, and Technology Board Subcommittee. So this evening, I'd like to introduce, and actually I've asked each of them to introduce themselves. So Alexis, Everett, and Maya from Milford High School, Lakeland High School, and the International Academy. And I know Haley has also been part of our student leadership from Harbor High School. She can be here this evening, but Haley will be continuing on this trimester. So anyway, I'll turn it over to you.
I'm a senior at IA West. I have been involved in student government for 3 years now. It's something that I'm so passionate about. I love serving my class and serving my school community. We've had a really great first few weeks, and I'm really looking forward to this year, and I'm excited to be representing my school. So thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name's Alexis Cornett, and I'm a senior at Milford High School. This is my 4th year in student council, and I'm very excited to continue the growth that we've seen at Milford. You know, with COVID and everything, we've been looking for new ways to continue expanding and growing. And I really look forward to working alongside our board this year, bringing new ideas to the table, and, you know, continuing to bring the student voice. So thank you very much.
I'm Everett Ross. I am the representative of this fine building, Lakeland. I'm a senior. I've been here for 4 years now. Got the privilege to be the representative for my class for 4 years now. I've been in the district my whole life. Absolutely loved it. Looking forward to having a good last year here at Lakeland. Thank you.
All right. Association comment. And you're back after the students.
I'm going to have to follow
I was
all
trying to
three
help
of
you
those.
out,
I know
but
you
my
were.
board members were.
I've known Alexis since she was in kindergarten. I could have told you then she was going to be class president. Well, good evening. We have 1 week of school already completed for the 22-23 school year. There have been lots of smiles and laughters in the buildings as teachers and students get to know each other and begin to build those important positive relationships, which we all know is the key to learning. This first week was so exciting for our educators as we welcomed our students back this fall. In addition to all of our students, this year we are welcoming back almost 500 educators. At a time where there are hundreds of job postings across Oakland County, all of these educators made a conscious decision to remain in the Valley. We are very fortunate that so many of our educators have been teaching in Huron Valley for 15, 20, 25, and even 30 years. The experience and knowledge they bring to their classrooms, their buildings, and the district is priceless. We rely on their institutional knowledge, their understanding of curriculum, and the ideas that they have for connecting with students. In Dr. Salah's opening day video message, he highlighted 2 of our teachers who have been in Huron Valley the longest. Scott Riggs currently is a math teacher at Milford High School. He's been a teacher in the district since 1990 and has been at Lakeland High School, White Lake Middle School, and now Milford. Doug Markey has the distinction of being the most senior of our educators in Huron Valley. Mr. Markey is a music teacher, and he began his Huron Valley teaching career at Oxbow in 1989 and then moved to Country Oaks in 2003. He says that when he first started teaching music, he used record players, remember record players, during music class, and ditto machines to make copies. There were no phones in the room, and the internet had not been invented yet. Mr. Markey comes back each year because he's still excited for a new school year, still enjoys the challenge, and still loves his time with his students. Over 150 of our educators, including Doug and Scott, have been Huron Valley educators for over 20 years and certainly have built a strong foundation within our district over the past 2 decades. But every district needs a balance of experienced staff and new educators. I'll talk more about our 23 new educators at the October board meeting when they'll be here to be recognized. But their enthusiasm for their new job in the Valley is contagious. Our new educators, especially the ones right out of school, bring joy and a sense of wonder to our buildings. They have boundless enthusiasm, fresh ideas, and knowledge of current trends in teaching. They're looking forward to learning more about Huron Valley and growing roots in our district. Julia Williams is a new first grade teacher at Kurtz Elementary. She's very excited about this school year because it's her first year as an official classroom teacher. Ms. Williams decided that Huron Valley was a good place for her because last year she spent some time in another school in our district, and she says, and I quote, "I could feel the love, collaboration, positive attitudes, and overall excitement to teach in the Valley." Hopefully 25 years from now, the HVEA president, which will not be me, will be standing up here highlighting the long careers of Julia and all of our other new educators. So as we begin the 22-23 school year, I am grateful for the hundreds of educators dedicated to HVS who are returning to our district. And I am equally grateful for the enthusiastic new educators who are just starting their careers with us. With all of them teaching, connecting, and supporting our students each day, I know this is going to be a great year. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, board president comments here. We have, I think, 2 more two more board meetings before the election for new board members on this board. And I think I want to make sure I'm taking the opportunity during board president comments, because we don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars that you'll see commercials of any of the board members in our district. You might see other candidates, but you won't see them. But it is important. And first of all, I just want to, there might be some folks that are watching and say, what do these guys who sit up at these tables, guys and ladies, really do? This just captures a little bit. What are some of the powers and duties of a local school board? Under Michigan law, a board of education has the ultimate responsibility for school district operations. Among other things, the revised school code gives each board of education general powers to educate students, provide for the safety and welfare of students, acquire and dispose of school property, determine matters relating to school employees and contractors, control the expenditure and receipt of school funds, make joint agreements and cooperative arrangements, which you'll actually see on one of the agenda items this evening. Specific provisions in the revised school code also assigns responsibilities to school boards in areas such as setting the curriculum and courses taught in schools, employing a superintendent, other administrators, teachers, and support personnel, levying local taxes to run the school and adopting a budget, deciding whether or not to furnish transportation for pupils, and negotiating with employee unions regarding salaries and other conditions of employment. These are some of the main responsibilities of the Board of Education. This is a very important year for us. There are 3 seats that are up for 6-year terms, and there's 1 seat that is up for a special election, a 2-year term. The election will be held on November 8th. In the 2-year term, we have Miss Lindsay Cotter and Shannon Pickering that are running for those positions. For the 6-year terms, there are 3 positions available, and we have 10 candidates that have put in for those positions. Denise Forrest, Amy Grzymkowski, Debbie Lennis, Carol Nagy, Joseph Pilchowski, Michelle Ryan, Benjamin Dubé, Jacob Dimick, Ryan Pauley, and I believe Becky Zimmerman are the 10 candidates. I want to thank each and every one of these candidates for coming forward. In 2012, we had about 7 or 8 candidates that were pursuing 3 seats at that time. The other, I believe, recent high water mark might have been in 2016, where I believe we had 8 to 9. Mr. Wiseman, is that correct? You were running that year.
We had 9.
9 for three positions. So we have 12 candidates running this year. That says a lot about this community. That says a lot about the grit and hard work that community members are willing to serve on a public education board. And so appreciative of those who have taken the time to fill out their registration and be on this ballot. So I want to thank each and every one of those candidates. I would also like to remind folks that on September 21st, the spinal column at the Milford High School CPA will be hosting a candidate forum that evening for all 12 candidates. On September 28th, there'll be a meet and greet also at Milford High School. And then I am going to work with our class officers. They don't even know this yet, but maybe they do. But with Everett and Maya and Alexis in regards to sitting with me and also a former board member by the name of Miss Bonnie Brown. And we will be hosting a candidate forum for these candidates as well. We will look to film this with Fred on HVS TV so that our community, in our own way, we can let folks know of the decisions that are in front of them on November 8th. And so we'll have one session with 2 candidates, which will be Miss Cotter and Miss Pickering. And then there'll be two other sessions with 5 candidates each and we'll be asking questions of those candidates as well. An invitation will be going out for those candidates, and we think that this is important. This school board, this community, this is one of the largest school districts in the state of Michigan. I know at one point in time it was the 21st largest school district. We might have gotten passed up by South Lyon, maybe.
We're within 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the top 25 out of 500 plus school districts in the state of Michigan. And we are one of the largest employers in Oakland County. We are one of the top 25 employers in the county as well. So this is an important community, important job, and an important election. And so therefore we'll be stepping out and making sure that the candidates' voices are heard and people can make an educated and informed decision on November 8th. So with that, that concludes board president comments, and we'll turn it over to board correspondence, Madam Secretary.
No correspondence tonight.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Treasurer?
Yes, as treasurer of the Huron Valley School Board, I have the pleasure of being the chairperson of the Finance and Operations Group. And we've done a lot of wonderful things to get the year started, and especially proud of our operational staff, specifically our maintenance and operations and our food service people, because as we know, everyone is focused in Huron Valley on what's going on in the classroom and what we can do to make certain that every student is provided with great opportunities to learn. And it's wonderful in the fact that this year, the start of this year, is as close to normal as we possibly can make it, considering where we've been for the last 2.5 years. And one of the areas that makes Huron Valley special is our employees are our employees. Unlike many districts around us that border on us, their maintenance and operations staff and food service, to name two, have been privatized, and they're really not our employees. And one of the areas of support that we provide and recognize they play an important part in the teaching and learning of our students is our food service department. Because we know if our students are not prepared to learn, they're not at the top of the game, and our food service people play an important part. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Van Gothen, just to kind of talk about food service as a support service, and also from a financial standpoint, how we as a district have held our prices very close. Considering, as you all know, when we go to the local grocery stores, prices have gone up significantly, and what we've been able to do is really keep those prices as close to what they've been over the last couple of years as possible. So with that, I'd just like Jeffrey to kind of give us an overview of where we were, where we are now, and what our future is in store in the area of food service.
Thank you, Mr. Wiseman. So again, real brief this evening, talking about meals in particular with food service. So prior to the pandemic, we were anywhere from $2.50 to $3.50 for our students for the lunches that we had, and then the free and reduced lunch was as low as 40 cents. And proud to say that even as of today, with being out of the pandemic, our lunches are no more than 25 to 50 cents more than they were 3 years ago pre-pandemic. So that, a testament to, the food service distributors who are giving us a pretty good rate on the food that we're providing to not only the students, but also staff that takes advantage of our meal programs. But also, just being able to come up with the necessary things that make up a whole meal, including the milk, and keeping those at relatively inexpensive dollar amounts. I can tell you that we have 3 schools, Harbor, Highland, and Knoxville, that qualify for free lunches because as a building, they're a Title I building, and that allows them lunches throughout those buildings. I can also tell you that really when you talk about free and reduced lunches, there's 2 pieces to that. One, the actual application, which allows families to qualify for the lower rate, but it also is twofold in that when we have an application for a family and they qualify for that program, it also allows us to tap into additional federal dollars that are really used in the classroom to support the educational model. So not only are those students getting a meal that could possibly be more affordable for them, given their economic environment, but it also provides additional federal funding that we can use for additional social work, emotional support, additional classroom teachers and para support. So it's really important that families know that that's a very private manner. When someone wants to apply for free and reduced, we use a lot of discretion, complete discretion really in that process. And we encourage all families to look at our website if they have any questions, and obviously reach out to the food service department or myself if they have questions about that application process. I can tell you that this year, as a result of moving out of the pandemic, we've had the highest amount of families apply over the last 5 to 7 years. So we're appreciative of families feeling comfortable to do that. We're going to continue to monitor that and advertise just so we can, one, make sure our families are getting, the students are getting fed, and two, that we're watching out for the students, not only from the food perspective, but also for potential additional dollars that will really go back to those buildings to help those students that really need it the most. So thank you, Mr. Wiseman.
Appreciate that. A couple of quick other comments. Number one, all of our students qualify for free breakfast. This year, as Jeffrey said, only our Title I schools that were listed qualify for free lunches, but we've been able to keep that price pretty close to what it was 3 years ago. The second thing is, I believe that everyone needs to know too, is that food service is a separate program within our district and is revenue neutral. In fact, they provide they cover all the expenses of operating food service, matching it with the revenue that they receive, and there is no general fund contribution back into food service. So great work as it relates to that. So I appreciate the comments, and I can't emphasize enough that our students need to be fed, they need to be ready to learn, and please fill out those forms, because not only does that provide an opportunity for your child, but also it has a primary effect as it relates to providing additional dollars to provide programming for our students throughout the district. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Weissman. All right, reports from the board committees, executive committee. The executive committee met on August 29th. Meeting was called to order at 8 a.m. Present were Denise Forrest, Tom Weissman, Dr. Salah, Jeanette Wagner, Barb Rothwell, and Lori Hill, and myself. There was no public comment. We discussed the regular agenda that is before us this evening. We also had a conversation about the employee assistance plan in regards to how we might be able to add that as part of our programming for our staff. We discussed board policy 3000 series, safety and security. We discussed the superintendent annual goals as well, which I believe is on the agenda, correct, this evening. And then we also had a strategic plan debrief. The strategic planning committee has met twice so far. And I believe the next scheduled meeting is a week from Wednesday, correct? 28th. So 2 weeks from Wednesday. So, and appreciate the volunteers and the stakeholders that have come together, administrators, teachers, and parents, and folks from the district. So our next meeting is scheduled, for executive committee meeting is scheduled for October 10th at 9 a.m. at the administration office. We'll now move to TLT committee. Ms. Pastana.
I have 2 reports tonight. Yay. The first one, TLT met on August 26th, 8 a.m. at the administration building. Present were myself, Ms. Dodd, Ms. Forrest, Mr. Tavernier, Dr. Salah, Mr. Lindberg, Ms. Thompson, Ms. Nemeth, and Mr. Wisnick. There's no public comment. We discussed board policy series 2000. We continue to review those. We talked about safety and security technology updates. The installation of cameras and monitors will continue over the next few weeks at the 5 buildings undergoing construction. Mr. Wisnick shared his work will continue into the start of the new year and will significantly enhance both the interior and exterior coverage of each building. Dr. Slash shared that the district will utilize safety and security grant funds to support additional security presence through contracted services during this school year. The security, in addition to our partnership with local law enforcement, provides an additional layer of support for all Huron Valley schools. We talked about the utilization of canine detection. The district continues to evaluate opportunities to enhance safety and security. At this time, the vendor demonstration was scheduled for the next week. We talked about Election Day. The committee discussed the desire to ensure students are not scheduled to be attending school or participating in programming in buildings that are used as polling locations on Election Day. The 22-23 school calendar has teacher in service, no school for students on all election and primary election days. Moving forward, we will consider this during summer programming for the August primary election. On the consent agenda items, we talked about the computer purchase. The district would like to refresh administrator laptops. A quote was received for 42 laptops. I'll give you an update because that's been updated since then. Funds for this purchase were budgeted in the 2020 bond fund, and it was recommended by the committee that this appear under new business on tonight's agenda. The committee reviewed a correspondence regarding the allocation of support for staff in our elementary buildings. Mr. Tavernier and Mrs. Thompson met with staff over the summer to review procedures, data, and process followed, and will review the information with all staff as part of upcoming in-service. Committee, we agreed to move our start time for all meetings to 9:30. We adjourned at 9:43. Next meeting was September 9th, which now I'm going to give you September 9th. The meeting was called to order at 9:35. Present were the same group, myself, Ms. Dodd, Mrs. Grismakowski was there, Mr. Tavernier, Dr. Salah, Ms. Nemeth, and Ms. Bjorkman. There was no public comment. We continued the review of the 2000 series. Mr. Tavernier gave a brief update on security measures implemented for the start of the new school year. There were no new items at this time, but the computer purchase discussed at last committee meeting will appear under new business. And it is a total of 85 laptops, which would be a total of $89,250. They're $1,050 per unit. We talked about benchmark assessments. Ms. Nemeth shared the benchmark assessment data and goals for the 22-23 school year. The committee discussed communication strategies for sharing those assessment results. And the only other thing was the October 21st TLT meeting was canceled. We adjourned at 11:15. I'm done.
All right. Anything you want to assign to another committee or anything? All right, Finance and Operations Committee.
I'm happy to report that we only have one report to read tonight. So, Finance and Operations Committee met on Wednesday, September 7th at 9:10 in the administrative offices, along with myself, Ms. Cotter, Ms. Grzybkowski, Dr. Salah, Mr. Van Gothen, Mr. Reeby, Ms. Carrigan, Ms. Maruska, along with members of our TMP and Clark Construction team. There was one public comment that was given by Juan Zinken, who spoke regarding parking lot fees and used furniture. We reviewed the minutes from our previous meeting on 8/12 and also discussed the board notes that were published on 9/9/22. There were no consent agenda items and no unfinished business. New business, board policy 8000. Jeffrey went through policies 8120, 8390 through 8390 with committee members. We will address a few policy questions, revisions with Neola, share policies that cross over with TLT and HR, then report back with any updates. Our next Finance and Operations meeting is on October 12th, where we will continue with policy 8400 in hopes of finishing the 8000 series at that time. Safety and security, keeping in line with our strategic plan, each committee will continue to focus on enhanced school safety and security methods and systems designed to keep our students and staff safe and healthy. With that in mind, we updated the committee on anticipated night lock installations that should start taking place in mid-October. As a follow-up from prior public comments at the August 15th board meeting, we purchased a radar sign, which will be installed on the road leading to Kurtz Elementary. This should help aid in the enforcement of dedicated speed limits. We also talked about the K-9 detection presentation that was held at Milford High School. Jeffrey reported significant support as it relates to this program from our principals. And Dr. Salah confirmed that we have emergency operational procedures in place in each building throughout the district. Mr. Wiseman asked that the emergency operational procedures be shown at a future finance and operations meeting, along with what dollars or what expenditures and encumbrances that have been put into place through our dedicated categorical that we received from the state pertaining specifically to safety and security. Bond Package 5, Don Rogers with Clark Construction showcased the latest photos of our buildings in Bid Pack 5. He updated the committee on the remaining punch list items, challenges, supply chain, and current projected delivery dates. The financials were shared along with remaining contingency dollars. Mr. Wiseman asked if there were any concerns with contractors, and Clark was happy to report there was no red lines, and they would choose to continue to work with Bid Pack 5 vendors in future projects without hesitation. Bid Pack 8, which is door and hardware updates and replacement bid, will be on the street September 16th with an anticipated board approval of November 7th. All of the Bid Pack 4 school doors have been completed per our safety specifications, and Bid Pack 5 schools and high schools are included in the upcoming bid. Hardware will be installed after school hours once received. Door delivery is anticipated to be a longer lead item. 7/31/2022 general fund budget to actual report. The Finance and Operation Committee reviewed the summary of expenditures and check register for that period. We continue to have clean discussion regarding clean bus program with continued research. We're looking to bid out this program in November and December with an extended 6 to 8 week time frame. Jeffrey would like all of the logistics to be approved by the board. Last item discussed was the Milford High School traffic light. We revisited the concerns from last year regarding the light at the Lone Tree and Milford Road intersection. Timing of the light last year was adjusted and has improved significantly the flow of traffic. We also pursued a partnership with Oakland County, and they have responded to a request for a left turn light that they will assist in covering 1/3 of the cost. That still leaves a cost of over $200,000 to the Huron Valley School District. We will continue to have discussions, and we are not at the present time recommending moving forward, but to continue monitoring the situation. We'll check back with Principal McKenna after week 1 of school. Future discussion items, there were none. The meeting adjourned at 11:35 a.m., and our next meeting will be on October 12th, 2022.
All right, thank you. Communications, marketing, and legislative.
Sure. Our last meeting was on September 6th, called to order at 3:30 p.m. Present were myself, Denise Pastana, Lindsay Cotter, Barb Rothler, Paul Sala, and Kim Willis. New name. Look for it. It's coming up. We didn't have any public comment on our regular agenda. We introduced Kim Willis, the new communications coordinator. Her job was explained to us to include some of the duties she will be having, and we also talked about what she had done on her first week on the job. So still lots for her to do, but we were able to meet her right on her first week. Next, we talked about the communications plan strategy. Barb and Kim presented a uniform crisis and incident communication proposal. Committee members reviewed the proposal and shared recommendations with an action item of Barb and Kim making some changes and updates for the next meeting. We also discussed social media strategy and success. Barb and Kim presented HVS social media data and examples from the month of August, presented uniform branding throughout HVS, #HVS success. Committee members made suggestions for HVS social media platforms. Barb and Kim presented ideas for annual interview segments on social media, name for segments, how to utilize HVS TV better to communicate with our school and community, and how to work with Fred into helping topics to focus on. Fred, you're in the agenda. It's pretty exciting. Action item, Barb and Kim will work on suggestions and report back for the next meeting. D, board policy review 9000 series. Committee members reviewed and reviewed proposed changes and shared recommendations. I believe the 9000 series is on the agenda this evening for us to discuss as a board. Other consent agenda items, we had no consent agenda items, and our next meeting is October 4th at 3:30 p.m. at the Administration Building. We adjourned at 5:30 p.m.
All right, thank you. All right, now we have time for no public comments this evening. Okay. All right. September 12th, 2022. All right, consent agenda. Approval of the consent agenda as presented, A1 through A3. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make that motion, please.
Motion being by Ms. Cotter. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Ms. Forrest. We'll go ahead and take a roll call vote.
All right, Ms. Cotter.
Yes.
Ms. Forrest.
Yes.
Ms. Grzymkowski.
Yes.
Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
Ms. Dodd.
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Sufficient voting in the affirmative. Motion carries. We'll now move to unfinished business. Item 5A, approval of Board Policy 1000 Administration Series. Can I get a motion first, and then we'll have a brief introduction of this? Mr. Weissman.
Yes, I move that the Board of Education approve Board Policy 1000 Series as presented.
And supported.
I'll support.
And supported by Ms. Dodd. And we'll now take a presentation, a brief presentation.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the 1000 series, along with several of the other various series that the board has been reviewing, was in front of the executive committee on June 6th, July 21st, and August 8th. Board received the original copy back in April the 8th for overview. So it's been in the hands of the board for the last several weeks, actually almost 4 weeks since the last board meeting. I did receive one comment this evening from Ms. Grzymkowski, and so I would point your attention to policy 1217 related to weapons. And the recommendation, which I would recommend we take, is under A, that we add.
Can we give an overview of 1217?
I'm sorry. Yeah, 1217 relates to weapons being allowed on the school grounds. Specifically, there are limitations in terms of when weapons would be allowed. And so this policy goes through some of those specifications. So for example, under A, it says weapons under the control of law enforcement. We would expect law enforcement to be able to carry weapons on our school grounds. We added to the 3000 series, and this was after the executive committee reviewed this. There's a similar policy in the 3000 series that you will be asked to take action on. It's actually 3217, which has the verbatim language. We're recommending that we add weapons under the control of law enforcement and approved security. We currently have private security in our buildings. They do carry weapons. They are retired law enforcement. And so this is something I believe will be consistent with our practice and is a prudent step. Also, Ms. Grzymkowski pointed out that B is supposed to be deleted as it is mentioned in the notes, the overview page on the matrix. So we will go ahead and take care of that deletion. But that is the only feedback that I've received regarding the 1000 series. So I'm presuming that otherwise it's in good stead.
All right, so under 1217, weapons under the control of law enforcement personnel and Board of Education approved personnel.
Security personnel.
And security personnel.
And approved security.
And approved
personnel.
Security. Yeah, personnel. Okay.
Yeah. And so that approval would only be with the express permission of
And I
the
think it's
superintendent.
important for the listening audience to understand that's not the only parts of this section.
Oh, no, of
It's
course not.
much
Yeah.
greater in detail, and so I don't want to be getting in.
If you want, I can go into more detail.
You can.
I mean, it speaks to,
just speak to the exceptions to the policy.
Certainly. So
I think it's
yeah.
worth go
Yeah.
ahead and, on this one, since we've opened this up, to go ahead and if you don't mind,
Yeah.
reading 1217 in its entirety.
Okay, all right. So the Board of Education prohibits members of the administration, and this policy deals specifically with administration. There are different sections. So there's a section dealing with students. There would be a policy related to students. There's a policy related to professional staff. These policies mirror each other in the various sections. So that's important to know. But this one's dealing specifically with administration. The Board of Education prohibits members of the administration from possessing, storing, making, or using a weapon in any setting that is under the control and supervision of the district for the purpose of school activities approved and authorized by the district, including but not limited to property leased, owned, or contracted for by the district, a school-sponsored event, including athletic events, or in a district vehicle without permission of the superintendent, or in the case of the superintendent, without permission of the board. The term weapon means any object which, in the manner which it is used, is intended to be used, or is represented is capable of inflicting serious bodily harm or property damage, as well as endangering the health and safety of persons. Weapons include, but are not limited to, firearms, guns, and any type, including spring, air, and gas-powered guns, whether loaded or unloaded, that will expel a BB or paintballs, knives, razors, clubs, electric weapons, metallic knuckles, martial arts weapons, ammunition, and explosives, or any other weapon described in 18 U.S.C. 921, which is the federal law. The superintendent shall refer a staff member who violates this policy to law enforcement officials. The staff member will also be subject to disciplinary action up to and including termination as permitted by applicable board policy and the terms of existing collective bargaining agreements. Exceptions to this policy include weapons under the control of law enforcement and approved security, theatrical props that do not meet the definition of weapons above, used in appropriate settings, starter pistols used in appropriate sporting events, firearms that are lawfully stored inside a locked vehicle in school parking areas if the district adopts appropriate safeguards to provide for student safety. Staff members shall immediately report knowledge of dangerous weapons and or threats of violence by students, staff members, or visitors to the district supervisor, central office administration, if unavailable to the Human Resources Department. Failure to report such information may subject the staff member to disciplinary action up to and including termination.
Thank you. That was an intention to read policies, but since we modified that, I think given social media nowadays, it's important for us to get all of the facts out on the table so it's accurately portrayed. So thank you for doing that. Mr. Weissman.
A little sidebar comment, though. I'd like to make certain that our community knows that our Board of Education agendas are published, and each of our Board of Education agendas are published, and there's a link to each of these policies, not only as unfinished business, but also new business. Is that correct, Dr. Salah?
I believe the policies are not published until the board approves them because they would be in draft form. So we publish the 3-boxer.
You publish the 3-boxer.
Correct.
Okay. But once they are approved by the board,
Once they're approved, they
then
become
they are
available.
they're a document that's out there available to the community.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments as it relates to this specific one? Okay. Ms. Pastana.
So I want to talk about the 1000 series, the policy 1240, superintendent evaluation. And I'm not opposed to it. I just want to make sure that if it's stated in the policy or that we know that, does it follow the MASB language for the consensus process? I just want to make sure. We've had a lot of discussion among ourselves. I want to make sure that that is in the board policy or that it states it.
And the topic that we had, if I'm capturing this correctly, was that when we have consensus with 7 board members that are evaluating the superintendent, and we're looking at a matrix that has 1, 2, 3, or 4 as we're evaluating. Our conversation had to deal with if 6 members are voting for 4 or 5 members are granting the superintendent a 4 or a 3, and there's a member that's granting a 1, that there needs to be some consensus and conversation around that. You cannot, it has to be done in good faith. It can't be from an unreasonable position that if somebody has data or evidence to suggest that it denotes a 1, then that needs to come forward. It can't just be a board member being obstinate and wanting to give out a low ranking grade, or from a flip end, a high ranking grade. It doesn't matter what spectrum it's on. So that was the conversation.
Correct.
And we want to make sure that we're getting consensus, and consensus is important for that dialogue to take place. And I believe,
Is that reflected then in the
I think
policy?
it's reflected in regards to the spirit of how we ran the superintendent evaluation this year.
Absolutely.
And so I think we might need to have a few procedures if we could. Am I getting a little feedback? Does somebody have their mic? Oh, it's the drum line. Oh, wow. That's fantastic. Well, it takes a band director to understand that piece. So yeah, it's from the drum line. So it's not just in my head. All right. So Ms. Pastana, are you good with that?
Absolutely, yes. I just wanted to make sure it was
Okay.
clear and it was clear for the policy. I appreciate it, Mr. Carlson.
All right, thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. Any other questions in regards to the 1000 series? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and take a roll call vote.
All right. Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
Ms. Dodd.
Yes.
Ms. Cotter.
Yes.
Ms. Forrest.
Yes.
I'm a yes. Ms. Grisomkowski.
Yes.
And Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, sufficient voting in the affirmative. The Board Policy 1000 series is adopted as presented with the respective modification on 12/17. Okay, next item of business is 5B, the WODA contract. Can I get a motion on this? And then we'll get a presentation.
Yes, I'd like to make that motion to approve the WODA contract shown in Exhibit C.
Okay,
I'll support that.
Ms. Cotter is moving that, and then Ms. Forrest. Okay, and then if I could get a presentation.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the WODA contract has been shared with both the Executive Committee as well as the Finance and Operations Committee. Executive Committee back in April on the 25th, Finance and Operations on April 29th, as well as July 8th. Essentially, the essence of this agreement is with the Western Oakland Transportation Authority. The Western Oakland Transportation Authority does a great service to our community in providing transportation for elderly folks and individuals that might have specific special needs. The WODA, as we refer to them, has some challenges in terms of the maintenance of their vehicles. And so there's an opportunity for a partnership for the Huron Valley Schools to give back and support its community residents by maintaining those vehicles using our current infrastructure, our current mechanic infrastructure in our transportation department. We feel that we can successfully support the 11 vehicles that WODA has in their possession. So I brought this to the board in July 8th for a high-level overview conceptually. Since that time, we've worked out the details of the contract. You've had it in your possession for about a month now. I did receive some feedback last week from Mr. Wiseman. I would point your attention to page 3 of the agreement, section 3.1.2, dealing specifically with the cost of maintenance services. We've added some additional language. The language we've added says, including all equipment, materials, and supplies associated with WODA vehicle maintenance. So the feeling was that the contract was silent on the fact that WODA would be responsible not only for the cost of labor, but also for the purchase of tires and oil for oil changes and any other materials that are needed for the maintenance of the vehicles. So we added that language on page 3 and we added it again on page 4 under section 6.1, which deals with rates, other considerations, invoicing, and payment. Other than those two sections where you'll see the changes in red, there are no changes to the agreement that you received about 4 weeks ago.
Thank you, Dr. Salah. Any questions or comments? Mr. Weissman?
Yes, I think it's certainly an outstanding opportunity for us to partner with WODA. I know WODA has only been around for a short period of time, but at the same time, we provided throughout Oakland County or in this area independent senior transportation, and WODA has really put everything together in a way to provide support for our senior population. The only question I have, I just want to make certain that the existing infrastructure that we have and the staff that we employ, and the fact that we're in this partnership to provide services in maintenance and repairs, that our staff can do this without interfering and jeopardizing or compromising the safety and security of our buses, and that the safety and security and the maintenance of our buses is up the highest priority.
Absolutely. That's something, Mr. Wiseman, that was the first thing we investigated when we considered this potential partnership. As you know, Mr. Van Gotham, it's all over that. Met with the mechanics several times, met with Belinda Hoyle, our Director of Transportation Services, on multiple occasions as well. And as we progressed through the process, it was something that we felt that we could handle. So this is a year agreement. I should lift. This isn't a forever agreement. So we'll see how things go over the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months. And if we need to make some adaptations, I know that the WODA team would be more than willing to sit down and work with us on those challenges. Yeah.
Ms. Grisomkowski.
Mr. Carlson, I need to abstain from this vote. I am an employee of WODA, and I feel that that would be a conflict of interest for me to vote. So I believe fully in this contract, and I know that this would be a good partnership, but I feel as though that would be a conflict of interest.
Thank you for the comment. Any other questions or comments? So we'll go ahead and take a roll call vote. You'll put an abstention in Ms. Grisomkowski's box there, and then go ahead and call on the other.
So I don't need to call her name.
That's correct.
Off. Okay. Ms. Cotter,
Yes.
Ms. Forrest,
Yes.
Ms. Dodd.
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
And Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
Excellent.
All right. 6 yays, 1 abstention, no nays. Sufficient voting in the affirmative. The WODA contract is approved as presented. We'll now move to section 6, new business. And we have proposed superintendent goals. Dr. Salah.
Yes, thank you. We're pulling up the PowerPoint now. So I've been introducing goals for the board's consideration for the last 4 years now. And since I've started, I'll just touch on, of course. Oh, yes, it works. Fantastic. So since I've started with the organization, there's a process that I've asked the board to consider, and the board has supported over the past several years, and it relates to the goal-setting process for the superintendent, which then precipitates the COAT members' goals, and then the department heads will align those goals with the COAT team as well as the superintendent because they've been established as a priority of the organization. And so that's what this flow chart really speaks to. You know, superintendent proposes goals. I introduce to the executive committee. The executive committee provides me with feedback. I make tweaks and modifications. I present to the full board for consideration and ask for the full board to support those goals as formal goals of the organization. Then our COAT team I will meet with our COAT team at least 3 times throughout the year. They will establish goals that align with mine within the specific scope of their work within the organization. And then building principals and department heads will align with the COAT team members. And in that way, there is vertical articulation throughout the organization with the intention of having an impact on the classroom. And so those goals this year Goal one, I won't go through the stair-step model. This board is very familiar with the importance of culture, climate, guaranteed and valuable curriculum data points, and making sure that we enrich and intervene on the behalf of students based upon data points. But I will share that the strategic plan work that we do this year in terms of the committee that's focused on innovative programming will build upon the task force work that we did last year. And one of the goals that I will have is, or at least that I'm presenting to you today, that for me to have, is that we focus on offering high quality recommendations designed to improve teaching and learning across the Huron Valley schools through the strategic planning process. A continued aspect of that goal is the implementation of collaborative inquiry. We have adopted professional learning communities as a school district. I think it was the last board meeting I shared the work of Jenny Donahue. I showed a book. A couple of board members have asked for actually a copy of that book, and I've shared that with members of the board. The collaborative inquiry process is a process that allows an organization to utilize data to identify what we call problems of practice that might exist across the organization, to implement theories of action, and then in turn to measure whether or not that theory of action is having the intended impact on student achievement. So I'm proposing as part of this continued goal one that we move from last year, all administrators being trained in collaborative inquiry, to all staff being trained in the collaborative inquiry model. Continued goal one, obviously this is a big goal just because teaching and learning is our core business. It's where we need to focus our time and our energy. Dr. Salah will continue to work with the AIM team, which is our administrative instructional management team, to facilitate learning around the archetypes and leadership. This is really work that's designed to make sure that our administrative team across the district, all of our principals, are speaking the same language as it relates to leadership, and that we all have the same understanding and expectations for how to work not only with one another, but to give our administrators tools for how they can work with their staff, because there are different ways to work with different staffs. Context is important. There isn't a one-size-fits-all approach to leadership, and so it's continuing to unpack that good work of the archetypes so that we can support all of our buildings and we can work collaboratively with one another as an administrative team. So that's goal one. Goal two deals primarily with leading the district through opportunities for operational efficiencies and revenue enhancements that align with the district needs. So this also will be an important aspect of the work that we do with strategic planning, and Mr. Van Gotham is chairing that committee along with one of our parents, Dan Gilmer, and they are focused on infrastructure and resources opportunities to enhance our operational efficiency so that we can continue to attract and retain staff in the Huron Valley schools and actually pay for that innovative programming that we're talking about in goal one. Goal number three, I have two new COPE members that will need my support and some time and attention this year. Both COPE members, don't get me wrong, they're dynamic, wonderful people. But I will be spending a lot of time making certain that they're very comfortable with the organization, that I support them to be successful in their roles. So I think that should be a goal. I'm proposing that as a goal this evening because I know it will take time for me to be there for them. Goal number four, Dr. Salah will continue working with the Board of Education and the COAT in order to complete the revisions of the Neola board policies. It certainly has been a heavy lift this year. The one piece that's not up there is once we finish all of these board policies, then my team and I will then engage in the process of reviewing and revising all of the administrative procedures. So this process that we've gone through between the COAT and the board as a team will be primarily focused on the COAT team, and then we will report out through our subcommittees. But the administrative procedures are not brought back to the board for approval, but they will be brought to the board for information and feedback. And then last but not least, obviously school safety and security is a huge focus for us, and it will continue to be a focus for us in this upcoming school year. We already have put a lot of mechanisms in place but we are looking a lot at how we continue to train and support from the human behavior perspective, to accountability, to ensuring that all of our written plans are in place and very clear. Everyone knows where to go for those pieces. And so it's our emergency operating procedures at the building levels, as well as making certain that we have really emergency operating procedure at the district level. And it's just that being intentional and systemic in terms of how we approach the school safety and security pieces. I'm also looking at and considering a recommendation that we move forward with another sort of almost like a recon management 2.0. So we've put all these pieces in place, come back and take a look at what we've done. Did we hit the mark in terms of the feedback we got from recon management? And I'm not sure if we would have recon come back out and do that, or if we would have Fortis Group, which is the security firm that we're using. But that's part of my thinking in terms of this goal, is holding ourselves accountable to a high standard. And then, of course, the strategic planning work. Miss Rutt, along with Josh Lord, who's a parent in the community and has been involved historically in the school safety and security committees over the last 8 years or so, is the co-chair, along with Kim on that committee as well. So that's the high level overview of my goals. I'm happy to take any questions and asking for board support.
Any questions, comments? Ms. Force.
Just a comment. I appreciate the goals. I think they're pretty all inclusive of where we're at as a local school district, and the concerns we have in Michigan and nationwide as it relates to working through COVID and getting our kiddos back on track. I think we've done an excellent job so far. This is going to be a pivotal year, and the safety measures that we pretty much talk about every single day and put in place. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing the strategic plan and how all of these goals mesh together, and then getting the job done, the implementation. So I appreciate the report tonight.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Wiseman.
Yes, as you've gone through these goals, and we've had an opportunity to have a lot of conversations with our various subcommittees as you work through these. You mentioned a number of times the strategic plan and how the strategic plan in the meetings that we're having really reinforce that. And you mentioned COAT, which is our central office administrative team, which is over to our right. How do your goals mesh with the direction that your COAT's going?
So our COAT team has not adopted formal goals as of yet. So once the board approves my goals, they will then in turn propose goals to me that align with the key attributes of the goals that I've proposed. So you can extrapolate based on the content of the goals. So from Barb's perspective, she's going to be thinking about how do we market that our schools are safe places for teaching and learning. How do we improve our marketing strategy all the way across the board? That's what I would expect to hear, from Barb, from Jeanette, maybe working in partnership with Jeffrey. It's around attracting and retaining staff. What procedures, what strategies is she going to bring forward to help us as an organization with that goal to ensure that resources and infrastructure committee actually accomplishes its goal? And then both with John and Jeffrey, you can see the collaborative inquiry process will be led by our TLT department in terms of the emphasis and the effort that our TLT department puts together on those designated early release days, what will be covered on those early release days, and how we utilize the research to get to implementation. And then the same, for Jeffrey, it's helping us with that strategic plan and always looking at opportunities for us to enhance revenue opportunities and where it makes sense looking at our infrastructure.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And what I would encourage you is this will come back for a full vote, be on unfinished business next month, but correct? Are we moving that for a
I was
vote?
hoping it would move forward this evening, just so
We did
that.
bold this as an item. I'm okay with moving it forward. I just want to make sure if anybody wants additional comments, I don't see any, so we'll go ahead and we'll take a motion. Mr. Wiseman?
Yes, I move that the Board of Education approve the superintendent's goals as presented.
Supported by Ms. Pastana. Any other questions or comments? If not, let's go ahead and move for a roll call vote.
Okay, Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
I am a yes. Ms. Cotter.
Yes.
Ms. Grzymkowski.
Yes.
Ms. Dodd.
Yes.
Ms. Forrest.
Yes.
And Mr. Carlson.
Yes. Sufficient voting in the affirmative. The superintendent's goals are approved as presented, and then we will go ahead and post these goals. Correct. I'm looking at Lori. Okay. All right. We'll now move to Board Policy 3000 series. This is just a reading. Is that correct? And not a full reading.
That's correct. So the executive committee reviewed the policy that are in front of you for the 3000 series. You have the matrix on top with the various policies that were touched, and then the high level changes that were made. I would just invite the board to spend the next several weeks reviewing these policies. Any questions that you have prior to the next board meeting, if you could let me know those, that would be wonderful. And that way I can bring those changes back to the entire board so everyone is aware of the feedback that was shared over the course of the next few weeks. I know there are a couple of policies in here that were HR related that we were still tracking down some details. So we'll continue to work through those questions, but this is just the initial.
Yeah. And so we'll move forward and we'll move to the 9000 series, but I would ask any board members that have any questions or comments on either one of these series to send them to Dr. Salah and then CC myself. Thank you. Okay, same thing with Board Policy 9000 series.
Yeah, so with the 9000 series, the only slight tweak I will make there is, so as Ms. Root was exiting the organization, this is another series that I took on. So we did have a few policies that we did not review at the last marketing communications meeting. So my plan, what you have here is probably about 60% of the 9000 series. I think there are 5 or 6 additional policies that will take us, I would guess, based on the pace that we've been moving, 30 to 45 minutes to review. So I expect to have those for the board to review, the Marketing Communications Committee, on October 4th. Any additional feedback that the Marketing Communications Committee has on those 5 or 6 policies will be changed and then sent to the entire board, so that you have it with plenty of time prior to the October 17th board meeting, where we will ask you to consider supporting.
Okay. All right, Ms. Dodd.
So regarding those those missed, I don't know what the right word is, board policies, is there a way that the committee could get paper copies of that? And committee, I'm looking at you, and we could have them reviewed with notes by our next meeting? Marketing Communication Committee, are you comfortable with that?
Is that me? So
It's just the band.
Oh. Are we talking about the 9000?
Yes, there are additional policies that we omitted, that we did not cover, that we need to cover. It's not in this packet. It's an additional.
Correct. So you would like our committee then to get the additional sections, read through those, and be prepared on October 4th to review, so that on October 17th, we could approve it all.
Yep. That would be great.
Well, how thick are those?
They're not too bad. I looked at them this afternoon. I need, if you give me till Friday, I can have them drafted with administration recommendations.
Okay.
And we can send it to you as a PDF.
Sure.
So that you have a copy electronically, and we're happy to make a copy of it for you if you prefer to pick it up.
I will pick up a paper copy. I hate to waste the paper, but this becomes coffee table reading.
I got you.
Okay.
Agreed. Okay.
I'll try.
That sounds like a plan.
Clarification, Mr. President. The policies within the 9000 that you're talking about are not in here right now? Oh, gotcha.
So we would have to amend for the second portion, because that would be going through as a first reading. I mean, and that's up to everyone how we want to handle that. At a minimum, the next board meeting, we could approve this 60%, and then the following one in November could approve the remaining. which would
Or
then-
to accelerate it, once the committee has looked this over, maybe you could forward it on to the rest of the committee, rest of the board, and we could take a
I
look
think-
at it then.
Yeah,
And then we could approve the whole thing in mass.
yeah, we can do it that way, unless somebody's got some
Right.
conversations on it. So, okay. All right, computer purchase, item 6D. Ms. Pastana, you have a motion to move that forward?
I do.
Okay,
I move that the Board of Education approve the purchase of laptops available on the REMC contract not to exceed $89,250.
is there support?
I support.
Ms. Grzymkowski supports that. Okay, and any comments or questions on this? We've got a brief description of this.
Yeah, this is just a routine refresh of our laptops for administrators and our ancillary support, including our speech, social work, psychologists, a lot of our staff that are mobile staff. And so this is just a routine refresh of that equipment. And as Ms. Pastana shared, it is available on REMC contracts. We are seeking board approval. Funds for this are budgeted in the 2020 bond fund.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Dodd.
Am I correct that we're getting a good deal? This is like a clearance situation?
This is, so we work with vendors and typically we don't ask the board to approve a specific vendor or a specific model because sometimes that changes by the time we get through board approval. But yes, the units that we have right now are on the statewide purchasing, which is very aggressive pricing that's available to us.
Thanks.
Okay, great. We'll now move for a roll call vote.
All right. Myself, yes. Ms. Grzymkowski,
Yes.
Ms. Cotter,
Yes.
Mr. Wiseman,
Yes.
Ms. Forrest,
Yes.
Ms. Dodd,
Yes.
and Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
Excellent.
Sufficient voting in the affirmative. Motion carries. We'll move forward with the computer purchase as presented. No public comment. Good and welfare. Any good and welfare, Ms. Dodd?
Yeah, I just want to remind all of our good-intentioned parents out there that PTA season has started. This Wednesday, I know I'll be attending the Kurtz PTA meeting. And I was out for breakfast on Sunday morning and saw the executive committee all sitting at one of those big tables in the corner making great plans. And I know that for all of their plans to come to fruition, they need the parents to get involved. So this is your opportunity to get involved, get back in the schools, help the kids. I know elementary PTAs are pretty easy to get involved with. It gets a little bit more challenging as you get to middle school and high school, but those parent groups exist and I know they will appreciate your help. So as the official parent groups of Huron Valley Schools, please get involved with your PTAs, your kids, your schools. Everybody really needs your support.
Thank you. Any other, Ms. Grzymkowski?
It's funny, Miss Dodd called me her yin to her me. I was her yin to her yang. And so tonight I'm going to echo what Miss Dodd said because I don't know about you, but when we get to September, everything feels fresh and new again. And I had been thinking about how as just a community, we're back to normal. And we have an opportunity for a normal school year. And that is very exciting for us. So I would encourage parents, I would encourage our community members, get involved at our schools, come alongside our teachers, come alongside our administrators, be helpful, be encouraging. It's been a rough couple of years, and our kids need us. There's a lot of intangibles about seeing a mom and dad walk on our halls, or a grandma and grandpa, or aunt and uncle, you name it. However you're related to those kids, be there for them, be their biggest cheerleader. And those intangibles, no one can put a measure on that. It is, as the credit card company says, priceless. So get involved. I'll be a big cheerleader with you there, but get involved at your PTA, get involved in your classroom. It's important. Send your teacher a hey, thanks for being a teacher this year to my student. They really appreciate your encouragement.
Ms. Cotter.
Yes, thank you. I would actually like to take this opportunity. Last Friday, on the 9th of September, Huron Valley lost two very important residents in our community. The first one I'd like to recognize the life of Jackson Baker. Jack Baker was the son of Bertha Baker. Our previous school, Baker Elementary School, was named for his mom. His mom happened to be a board member for Huron Valley Schools. In fact, after we closed Baker School, I made arrangements to have his mom's portrait taken to his home, where it currently resides, of course. But Jack has been a very important person here in the Huron Valley area and is well recognized. Dr. Salah, I introduced you to Jack at one of our senior luncheons when you first came on board. But Jack has always been a big supporter of our Huron Valley. Also, he was recognized by our students for his valor and work during World War II. Also, we lost on that day Norton Caswell, also well recognized in the Huron Valley and Highland area. He's been known as Uncle Norty. Uncle Norty was a crossing guard for our Kurt students for many years, and the kids have all known him. Likewise, he attended our senior luncheons and was also recognized by our students for his World War II work. On a personal note, Uncle Norty, there used to be a walking club here in Milford, and every morning when I was pouring my cup of coffee, Uncle Norty would walk down Huron Street and we'd wave. And then 10 minutes later, I'd be taking my coffee cup and getting in the car and going to the office at Baker School, where 20 minutes later, here comes Uncle Norty again, passing by my school office and giving me another wave. But both gentlemen, Jack Baker and Norty Caswell, have been well recognized in Huron Valley, big supporters of Huron Valley schools. And I just wanted to recognize to the community their lives and their passing of last week. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cotter. Any other good welfare? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.